It's a last second Kirblog about Ouran Highschool Host Club, which I just got through rewatching recently, and now I remember how much I really enjoyed it. Yeah, literally, I'm doing this like the day that I'm posting it. I have been really busy. I wanted to put this up over the weekend, but one, I didn't even finish rewatching Ouran High School Host Club until after Saturday. And I've been audio editing. My arm is going to fall off. I'm really tired. But I wanted to do a little something. Just, I don't know. I've been trying to get like a couple things out every week. And I don't want it to be exclusively my little crappy Google Chrome, music covers or whatever. So I recently rewatched for the first time in probably over a decade, like in full, Ouran High School Host Club, which is a fantastic anime from the mid 2000s. Those of you who may not remember, and I'll have a link to this at the very end if you guys want to check this out, I did a lovely interview with Caitlin Glass, who is the ADR, the English dub director of the show, and she was also the voice of Haruhi, one of the main characters. And we talked a whole lot about it for I think an hour and a half or something. It was a really cool interview, and she talked about a lot of fun stories with it and everything. But I think that if I'm remembering correctly, back when I did that interview, because I had a few interviews with people, and I think that for certain shows where it was like, oh, like anime, when I used to do Animepril, which I guess technically it is. I guess I realized without even intending to. It's like, oh yeah, it is Animepril, and here I've done now two, maybe three Kirvlogs about anime related stuff throughout the month. So that kind of worked out beautifully, didn't it? Yeah. So yeah, congratulations, happy Anime April without my even realizing it, guys. But when I was doing these a few years ago, I think that for certain shows, I would just go back and rewatch like an episode or two and not like the full entire show from front to back. Like I remember for the Cowboy Bebop one, I think I just watched like a handful of episodes and then like the movie. And with Ouran, I can't even remember if I did go back and rewatch any full episodes, but so it had been quite a while. I watched Ouran back in I think 2008 or 9 when it was first coming out on DVD, and they were promoting it at conventions and everything. And, I thought that I remembered a lot more about the show than I thought I did. And turns out not so much. There were quite a few very key, important episodes and a lot of really important like moments with characters that completely slipped my mind. I had very distinct memories of the, all of the major characters. Of course, all the host club members, and Renge, Nekozawa. I completely forgot about Kasanoda and how much I liked him as a character. The trio of like mean girls from like the other school, like the rival school or whatever. Absolutely forgot about them, like completely. Just everything about them. I remembered Eclair, who was the kind of creepy French girl from the final episode. I remember the little Kirime, the little girl, and a few others here and there. But yeah, so it felt kind of like watching it new, minus like certain specific episodes or whatever. Things like the Alice in Wonderland, kind of like halfway clip show, the big finale, of course, the big chase and everything. I remember distinctly, and some parts of the characters' backstories. But even then, like a lot of the development and everything, like so. Just to start with, I think that certainly by now my favorite characters have changed a lot. I feel like I liked Honey just because I thought he was like funny, and I kind of like characters like that who are just like, haha, I am tiny baby, but also I could kick your ass. And I do still, I like all of them. All of the host club members, I think, are all like really strong characters, like for sure. But yeah, with and then Kyoya, I really enjoyed a lot, and now that I remember his backstory, I do still find him very very fascinating. But weirdly enough, the twins have become, and I guess particularly Hikaru, became some of my new favorites because at first you look at them and it's just like, oh, okay, ha ha ha, fetish fuel, fan servicey kind of thing, which whatever, it's fine. It's the kind of part of the point of the host club, kind of servicing type stuff. But I don't know, their relationship, and then especially Hikaru becoming all like pissy and just jealous and whatever, like that ended up becoming like pretty fascinating and very consistent. And also, by extension, Haruhi's relationship with them and how she sees them. I mean, in some sense, how she interacts with all of them. And Haruhi in particular, like, I'm realizing now, Haruhi, I think, is one of my favorite protagonists of, like, any show. Like, she is such an interesting person. And the way that, and has, really consistently interesting material, is very relatable, but also like it isn't too much of like a blank slate. Like a lot of pro tags tend to be where it's like, oh, do you just like insert yourself? Because she is very unique and very like, although as Caitlin I think talked about when we did the interview, the show was pretty ahead of its time. And like a lot of people just kind of like either being considered non-binary or gender fluid or just not really caring one way or the other, which Haruhi seems to fall into the sort of question mark of. So the fact that she is just like, I'm not really caring or thinking about it too hard, like whatever for me. That ended up being like, especially now because of just how much our culture has evolved and, how much more, like generally acceptable by the masses at large, just LBGT stuff. Like the fact that like some of this stuff now feels like, oh yeah, cool. Yeah. All right. And then, but back then it was like, oh, wow, this is like, very ahead of its time and very progressive and et cetera. It's interesting to see how much that's evolved. But I will also say, Mori, all I could think about was the fact that, like, good Lord, Mori, that must have been like a 5-second, session for Travis Willingham, which is fine. Just like, I guess I would have liked to have seen like maybe a little bit more story material for him. Like that would have been nice. But it is what it is, I guess. And Tamaki, I mean, Tamaki, I think in similarly to Haruhi, his interactions with the other characters certainly was kind of what made him interesting. And also, yeah, he's generally very entertaining and goofy and ridiculous. But I don't know. I feel like maybe I liked him a lot more like previously. And now, like, I like all of them, but I think that he's like maybe jumped down the ladder a little bit in terms of like my favorites as far as like the main 7 or 8 go or whatever. So yeah, but no, just really, really strong, interesting, fun, varied, like main cast of characters. Like I just really love the distinctions with all of them. And of course, again, part of the point, especially because of just like, oh, we fulfill each of your different fantasies, but like playing into that even more so. Like, I don't know. I guess I can appreciate a lot more of like the subtleties and even the not so subtleties of the show now with like a more mature eye when it comes to like storytelling. It's also funny to see like how, for the most part, pretty episodic the show was. I guess interesting kind of thing that just by happenstance it ends up being a lot of 2-parters. Stuff like that when they go away to like the beach house and they work for the cross-dresser at like that little hotel or whatever, the little inn, or like the Casanova thing I didn't realize was 2 episodes. There's so many of my memories of this were like hazier than I thought. Like I completely blanked on like the twins' backstory and a lot of Kyoya's backstory. Like the beach stuff as well. There's just so many things about it. I was like, oh right, this happened in the show. Yeah, of course. Or like the one of the funniest ones for me was Haruhi and Kyoya at like the mall, or not the mall, like that little fair place or whatever the hell it was. Was pretty amusing. There were this was interesting because this was one of the first this was one of the first shows, and actually it's quite ironic because it happened again. I watched this show with a friend back when it was coming out, and they were like a huge fan of it. Like when it was in Japanese before that they watched it. I'm assuming fan subs of it, like before it officially came out over here. And so watching it and seeing them like, I'm so excited to see like how the dub turns out, and I was just experiencing it as a new viewer. And then I watched it again recently, also with a friend, And in this case, it was out of like, oh yeah, we both like really like this show a lot. Like I remember having like such a good time with it, and it's and the friend had watched it like a thousand times more than I had. Like, I had not seen it in full since I watched it originally, right? So I went to go I went to go check it out with them, and like it felt like this combination of like, oh yeah, I remember this show, and also, oh wow, I did not remember this show like nearly as in depth as I thought I did, and so it kind of felt like a whole new sort of like fresh experience, and that was, I don't know, like that's kind of, I know that sometimes there's like that old like what if scenario people present of like, oh like what if like you could erase your memory and like you could go back and relive like a piece of media all over again and like really enjoy it that way or whatever, right? And I thought, oh yeah, okay, that's, yeah, like that would be interesting to do, and I feel like sometimes that does happen, and it I feel like for the most part it did kind of happen with this, because so many, even like the content of the episode, like, okay, like I said before about the when they go to visit the inn or whatever, I forgot it was a two-parter. I forgot that it was mostly about Hikaru, like specifically Hikaru and just like his jealousy issues or whatever. So that ended up being like unexpectedly one of my favorite, because I remember obviously the Alice in Wonderland thing, like that was a very distinct one that like I never forgot, and like or like when they go away to the beach and then and Haruhi's like she's like scared of the thunder and Kyoya's there, and it like gets all like sexually tense, and it's like, whoa, what's gonna happen or whatever. But like and the finale too, like I said, like the stuff with Eclair and like that chase sequence with the horse and everything. But like I did not remember like the whole subplot of what was going on with and then like Haruhi's old like friend from like middle school or whatever show, like none of that was in my mind at all. So it really did feel like watching the good percentage of it was like completely fresh. And my God, like for this being like, I don't know, I guess there are so many shows from throughout the years that still hold up tremendously well, and it's awesome. But I guess more than I expect. I'm like, wow, this is from like over a decade ago, and it holds up like so tremendously well. Like it's pretty incredible to me. So I'm glad that it's still like an old favorite. It's still like, okay, yeah, this show was really nice. And like it's to the, other than maybe like there's a couple things in there that are like, that's kind of dated or whatever, but like very minimal stuff, honestly. I remember actually Caitlin even addressed like they used an outdated term for the cross-dresser and trans characters that she felt bad about, but obviously that was just at the time, it was like, this is what we were told to use, this is what was in the translation, like we're sorry about that. And so that's not like, I count that as like a strike against it, because even like the father, like I don't know, I really liked Ranka a lot. I don't know how I guess I would be curious, and if any queer folk listening to this feel one way or the other, I'm actually curious to hear how Ranka is perceived by people now, if like that character would be considered somewhat offensive, or if they are considered very accurate, etc. Because I don't know, I really like them a lot, and and even Ranka's friend Misuzu, that was funny as well. But I thought also about like, because there seems to be other shows that are kind of getting renewals and coming back and everything. I can't remember like which ones specific, because there's other ones that I don't keep up with tremendously that like oh wow, this, or okay, like Shaman King, but Shaman King I guess is not like a huge surprise, because of course like if it's a Jump title, like that's kind of like, yeah, of course this is a chance of getting like a remake or some continuation later on or whatever. I'm actually still waiting. I don't know if there's been any new news about like Bleach, because I feel like I remembered, oh, Bleach is coming back at some point. I remember hearing that, but I don't know if there's been any like movement on that at any point. But yeah, Ouran, because I know there's a lot more in the, I don't know how much more, but I know there is more in the manga, and like I didn't even realize apparently the Eclair, like that finale two-parter, I guess that was made up for the show, if I'm not mistaken. So and it was still a pretty good finale. Like I liked it a lot, but I don't know. I do wonder about if this is a show that would get like a renewal season like all this time later, because I think that would be cool. But I don't know how much of like what would even warrant it, like what level of popularity like warrants like or just anything like because like again like Shaman King's time has been kind of done for a while. Obviously it's very beloved and everything, because it had a very long run of the manga and even the original show too. I think the original Shaman King was one of the only shows that 4Kids like finished from beginning to end as far as their old licenses and everything. But I don't know. I guess I'm curious as to like what would it take for it to have another season. If not now, like just anytime in the future or whatever. I'd be really curious to see that. I also realized that it was Studio Bones that did this, and I think at this point I've I've just succumbed to the fact that like Bones is probably like my favorite anime studio. Just consistently, all their stuff is so pretty looking, and like Ouran like very rarely had like moments that didn't look quite right in animation. Like it was very because that's something I'm growing to value more with like especially with older shows, and I guess even some modern shows is like a level of visual consistency. Because even like I did the Kirblog with Michaela and Courtney and Germ recently. We were rewatching Dragon Ball Z, and we're rewatching original Dragon Ball right now as well. We're kind of going through that, and I'm realizing like especially in Z when like the style is so specific and so hard edged, it's like the consistency of the animation style of like, oh wow, this is going all over the goddamn place. That's something that now, as like with more experience and even just making my own show and everything, having a level of visual consistency with the character animation and just like the style and all that, like I think is really important. And like there's never a moment in this show where I feel like I'm taken out of that by like, oh, that didn't look right or whatever. And also a lot of moments where like just the animation got like really good, and even just like the standalone illustrations, just like the glistening kind of like because for it being a show where like generally everybody is very pretty, it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel weird. It doesn't feel like the way that like I look at Gundam Seed and I'm just like, wow, everyone is so beautiful except for like the three characters that aren't. It's like, okay, this I think because especially it played aesthetically so well into it, into like the themes of it, and I'm sure of course that's how the well, although I was gonna say I'm sure that's how the manga style looks, but I don't know if the manga, I've not really looked into it too much. If let me even go back to the illustration of yeah, okay, that's what I figured. Like the ending sequence, maybe that is just even is art by the creator, like like lifted into the ending animation. I yeah, like her style is a little more like painty compared to the anime, but I really do like the anime style. And like the colors and everything, like it's so pleasing to the eyes. And I don't know if that was something I talked about in the interview before, but yeah, I guess. And also as I wrap up, I'll say again, if you guys haven't seen it, and I forget how many years ago I did it by this point, but I tried to go a lot more all out for doing Kerblogs and having guests and stuff when I had time. Someday I'll have time again, I promise, guys. Yeah, Caitlin Glass did this wonderful interview. I'll say one last thing. The dub, definitely one of the best dubs I've ever seen. It is an absolute gift, and that is all. I'll give all the accolades to Caitlin. And all the team, the producer and the writer and the whole cast, like, but Caitlin being the guiding heart of the show, both from directing it, knowing the entire bit of source material, like the whole show from ground up to the end, and also like doing such a great job in taking care of Haruhi, performance wise and character wise. Like she really like this was a dub made with love, and and especially like these days, it's kind of hard to have time to do that anymore. Like even if you really like a show, like being able to give it the time that it needs to like be the best it possibly can, that's tough. With the advent of simuldubs, it's a different thing now. For better or worse, that we get them out to you guys quicker, but that sometimes we don't get all the time in the world that we would have liked to spend and give it the care that it needs, and that's the trade-off, and we just do the best that we possibly can. But yeah, this was a circumstance where like it wasn't too far after its time of being popular. It was very highly anticipated. It was an all-star cast at the time. And still, I mean, still a lot of those guys. I mean, they're all, you know, I mean, J. Michael Tatum, Kyoya, he just moved out to L.A. recently with his husband Brandon, and they're both doing incredibly well for themselves. So yeah, they're fantastic, and yeah. Yeah. So I guess if you've never seen the show, I think it's all up on the Funimation website. Plug here. I'm not sponsored, I promise, but I think the first like 2 or 3 episodes are free on the Funimation site, and but they're all up there. I highly recommend it. If like Shoujo isn't even your kind of thing, I would still recommend it. Like it's just a solid series. Like really really fun, distinct characters. Like all of them, all the leads are incredibly memorable. Yeah, it's a good ride. And you know, these little 26 episode ones they're a good hit. So yeah, go check out Ouran Highschool Host Club. I was, you know, my memories of it. I realized, oh wow, I'm plugging it after I've just talked about it. You know, all these spoilers and everything, like as if I'm talking to an educated audience. But I guess I'll say to all of you who are educated, if nobody else has gotten into this show yet, here's a firm reminder: recommend the show to somebody, because it's a real treasure. That's what I'll say. So. But all right, that'll do it. I need to get back to. Actually, no, I'm not even going to say. I'm going to get back to work. I'm resting my arm today because it's going to fall off from. I've been doing nothing but audio editing and recording, and I'm going to die. I promise we'll have some tome announcements soon. You know, just been very quiet because I've just been so enveloped in work. But I promise, yeah, there will be some news soon, and yeah, I got a lot to do. So thanks very much. I'll try to keep doing these as much as I can. It's just been a little bit of a struggle so far. Yeah, take care. Hope everybody's safe. Hope everybody's getting their vaccines and stuff. I'm getting my second shot in the middle of May, so that's exciting and scary because I know it's going to knock me the hell out when that happens. But yeah, take care, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye. The Ouran Curb Club will be waiting for you.
We'll see you then.